So I did
It's 6 o'clock, so we get this thing started.
Good.
I'm trying to get you out of here in an hour or less. I want to be respectful of people's time, and I appreciate everybody coming out here and doing this. If you recall, this has been a conversation, if you've been in tune, for some time. It was 2 years ago that council broached the subject about possibly doing retail cannabis in Auburn. It took till January of 2024 to have the first, let's seek direction as staff and figure out where we go. And then a lot of things happened, but it took all the way till August of 2025 to actually get it back around to, okay, is this what you meant by putting regulations together? And from there, we got the response that we need to do more public outreach. That's why you're here. So tonight's meeting is one of 2 meetings, and there's also a survey online. So if you go to the city's website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see our little cannabis advertisement for these meetings. There's a link right there, and you can take that online. If your friends can't come, but they want to provide input, some of the questions are very similar to what you're going to have tonight. Some of them are a little different. We are using new technology, so new to us technology. I'm sure the rest of the world's probably used this for a while. There is a QR code up on the wall. There will be one up here in a second. You're required to use your phone as part of input. Now, if for whatever reason you can't use your phone, you don't have a phone, we actually have notepads here too, where we'll gather the responses to your questions and we'll stick them over there so we can archive those as well. Just want to get as much information as we can, so when we go back to the city council, we can report to them. Amy, I forgot, do you want to open the meeting?
Where do you do that?
Oh, it's great.
Because you started.
Oh, okay.
But we don't have a quorum, so we don't need a call.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's just, perfect. Yeah, sorry, I got ahead. All right, so let's get into it here. I'm hoping for, what's that?
Does anybody want these?
Yeah, does anybody not have a camera or a phone with a camera and can get the thing? Okay. Just saying quick ground rules, because this, in some people's world, this is a very contentious matter. I know it's been around for a while. We're looking for respectful conversations tonight. I will accept questions as we go. But if things get out of hand, there's bickering, whatever, we're going to ask you to separate, possibly leave. So I just want that to be out there. This is our lovely.
We have technology.
I know. Now it's not working. All right, well, let's see if old fashioned works. It doesn't. The remote working earlier. Okay, perfect. We'll just do it that way. It's not working. No, it's not. It's there. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so this is the infamous QR code I referred to. I'm going to get rid of this because it's worthless. The same QR code that's up here. We are going to have lulls between the surveys and my discussion or our discussion. So it'll disappear on your phone while we're outside of that screen. Don't get panicked. As soon as we get back into that screen, it should reload. If it doesn't reload, then the QR code again, you'll be back to where you were. Fun thing about it is you're actually going to see results in real time. So you can see them on your phone. You'll see them up here. A lot of it's going to be question, just provide us with input, and that input is going to come up here, and we'll be able to archive those. We'll have conversations about some of the maybe things that need to be expanded on, but other than that, we're just seeking input. So we can go forward with the council and provide them the best possible information from the community. All right, let's make sure it works. Does everybody have their camera or their phone up and are on the system?
Yes.
Okay, you should see the screen right now on your phone if it's working. And of course, I start out with a quiz. Why not? So the test is, California was the first state to legalize medical cannabis. In which year did that happen? So just fun. There's no points for getting it wrong. There's no points for getting it right. But now you can see how the system kind of works as we go forward. Okay. Everybody's having fun?
Yeah. This is cool.
All right, yep, 1996, the first year, and that's when medicinal first went into effect. It was revamped by the legislature in 2015, and then, of course, the voters voted in recreational in 2016 for adult use, people 21 and older. So it's been almost 10 years now that this act has been in place, and that it's trickled into different parts of the state, and we're once again looking at it here. So let's get the party started. All right, one of the quick things, so we're just gathering information on where people came from, whether they're inside the city, outside the city. A lot of people, and I go to speaking engagements quite a bit, and a lot of people I go, so is Target in the city? And they're like, oh yeah, Target. Yeah, Target's not in the city. So our boundary is fairly small, and that's going to hopefully tamper kind of the discussion about users and how many. Because the survey online has gotten some pretty wild responses. Good on you, thank you. So we go up to the Nevada Street exit right up here. So this is Highway 49. So Auburn Toyota is not in Auburn, but that's the line. So right up here, up Ophir Hill down here. So that's kind of the end of our commercial node here, and then it goes down to Indian Hill and the Auburn Folsom Road area. And then as high as we go is up to Russell Road. So not even, I went and spoke at the Lions that were actually in Bowman, and they're like, why aren't the police out here more? It's like, because this isn't in the city. So anyway, this will set up the next question. So do you live in Auburn? Let's get responses to that. No penalty for not living in Auburn. Just trying to figure out how many are in and how many are out.
How about if I'm here for my family? They can't be here.
If they live in Auburn, I'd say you're representing them. I think it.
A property.
It's you,
That's good.
yeah,
Would that be the city of Auburn or this one?
city of Auburn. Well, there is no other. What are you talking about?
Right.
All right, everybody got that? Oh, back the other way. All right. How many people know what we currently allow as far as cannabis in the city? I put a bunch of selections there. There are right answers. So if your answer is none, I'm gonna go spoiler alert, that's not accurate. Well, the nuns are going down. And you can't change your answer. It's kind of a fun thing. All right. Everybody got it? All right, our municipal code allows for medical to be delivered in the city, and it also allows for indoor cultivation. So that's it, which is for up to 6 plants, and you have to get a permit from the police chief in order to do that. So we haven't had any permits that we're aware of. I'm not saying it's not happening, I'm just saying it. All right, Ronald. All right. Question about familiarity. Have you ever been to a dispensary? Have you been in one? Do you know what it looks like? Do you know how they operate? Do you know, at least been through the door? So we got 18 participants. So that kind of gives you an idea of how many people are out there. Good. As part of our background with the city council, we took them to dispensary. We'll give them the opportunity to go to a dispensary. So we've been in there, they got a tour, they found out about the inventorying system. There's questions about security, questions about consumption, questions about dealing with issues, the type of clientele they get, where they come from, even down to what their marketing is and their how they deal with bank things and cash transactions, so forth. They also got the chance to go talk to another jurisdiction that has somewhat recently legalized retail cannabis in their city. Gosh darn it, I'll get this button down eventually. So, is everybody aware, or is anybody aware, that right now there are places advertising for cannabis delivery in the city. Okay, spoiler alert.
Hi, everyone.
This one actually has been kind of interesting online because a lot of people are not aware of what's out there and what's actually happening. Okay. So you do a quick Google search and immediately it comes up with the different list of things that are places that deliver. You click on it and right away you can see that Dank City delivers to Auburn. And you go on the next one, Sanctuary. This one actually tries to make it look like they're in Auburn. See, you're Auburn dispenser. Okay, there's Sanctuary. Yeah. And so you'll like directly to. Another one going down, Cyber Canna. We deliver to Auburn right there. This is the most interesting one here. Because we're talking about retail sales of cannabis in the city of Auburn, yet you have places that are against our border, actually in the unincorporated Placer County, that advertise that you can go to their express kiosk and in a matter of seconds, receive your product. Sounds like retail, doesn't it? So they found a loophole that you can order online, it goes through their server, and then their delivery is already there. So this is how they're getting to you in seconds. So this is not something that's actually new. I mean, this has been going on for a while. Don't know exactly the provisions or the loopholes or why those things are allowed to do that, but very much a retail use. You look at it objectively, but with the loophole. Instant delivery, and that's happening. Well, if you look right here,
Yeah.
This one's the Dry Creek Millennium Smoke Shop, which there's a couple of millenniums. So that gives you an idea of how many are out there. I saw a question.
I did, is it like an ice cream truck? They got like all this stuff and it's ready to go.
I don't have the answer to that. So the question was, did they have an ice cream truck and they drive around? I've heard there's vans and there's vans nearby. And so when you order, it goes into their process server at where their headquarters are in Sacramento. And then that sends the message over to the delivery driver who happens to be nearby.
Yes, the tax road.
That would go to Sacramento for their excise tax. There is a provision in the delivery ordinance that says that if there's a sales tax, kind of like Amazon, they're still supposed to register where that is and then sell it back to or give it back to the city. So we might not, it's not called out in our taxes because it's a pool, but we might be receiving a little bit. Oh, gosh, darn it. All right, moving forward with us. If you've watched the presentation last time, this is kind of, I already went through this with the council, except for you'll notice I actually went back to their budgets and I updated. So this is their most recent budget analysis. Now, just for comparison, if you're looking at it from an economic standpoint for the city of Auburn and where this would put us in the way of a tax provider for us, this would be right about, that would be that would be fourth in line out of our top 10 tax providers, just if we had this. And Grass Valley just started, they're growing. In fact, you saw the last one, I think they are estimating that they're actually going up in revenue. I think the last projection that I had earlier was 220,000. So they're 240, which is great. You go to Nevada City, which, I look at us kind of like an outpost here. There's not a lot, they have it up the street here a little ways in Colfax, but done right, this could really be, an interesting thing for the city. I would think we would probably be somewhere in between here, which if we got that tax revenue puts us at about even with our number 2 top 10 provider of taxes. And then of course you go down to here and that's just, don't even look at that. They got a lot of space and a lot of this. Another benefit, if you're not aware, because the excise tax is, well, it was, I think it was 15 or 16%, now went up to 19% for the state. They do some programs with that. There's a couple of different ones. We actually receive cannabis grants, but those are CHP cannabis grants that go through the police department. Those are for law enforcement. These are actually for community benefit. And it says that if your local government is eligible, if you allow retail sales, so that should we allow, would it make us eligible for these grants? And they're nothing to slouch. I mean, they're not slouch grants. So Grass Valley got 3 million, Marysville got 3 million, Nevada City got 3 million. And if you look, I mean, I think the smallest one is what, 1.2? Oh no, there's a 600,000. But yeah, it's pretty big. And the communities are doing a lot with them. So Grass Valley put in a new bike park with pump track, added to their skate park, funded a full-time park resource officer, got surveillance cameras and vape detectors for their local schools, because there's a connection there. Purchased a masticator, I mean, for their fire department, literally clearing brush out. And they bought a patrol vehicle.
Quite a list.
Yeah. And Nevada City, this is just according to the actual grant website. Funded a full-time school resource officer, vape detection cameras for schools, created a year-round turf field, park field, and fixed their fire station and hired a fuel reduction officer, another fire-related one. And I think the nexus there is that if people are smoking cannabis in certain parts of the city, that there is a possibility of fire or for nefarious activities. So this would open it up so the law enforcement could see, and it would minimize their fire risk. All right, let's go back. All right, so these are the ones where you get to kind of put in your own idea of what's going on. So if you're going to get back on the Slido, what do you see as the potential benefits of legalizing retail cannabis in Auburn? And some of these are already in there. That's interesting. And I believe it's stated more than once, it gets bigger. So you can kind of see. So this will be just the benefit side, and we're going to go to the next, which will be, you know, what are some of the issues with it? And then the next slide after that, it's going to be, well, what are your ideas for mitigating those issues if there is a way to mitigate issues? And you can, it's anonymous, so don't be scared. And it's also, you can put more than one thing on it. So it actually has, if you have several ideas, several things you want to state, you can state those. Yeah, you learn about grant funding, that's one. Job opportunities, that's definitely another one. New business in town, yeah, that could be one. Love, that's very general, but I get the sentiment. Economic growth, taxes, financial, revenue, yep, lots there. I kind of teed that one up, I get it, but that's kind of how this presentation was working. Yeah. Yep. Revenue, financial. Age access, yeah, so people can actually get to it that actually need it. More revenue, okay. Everybody about wrapped up? So now we deal with the other side. What are the issues? So if the city council were to allow a cannabis operator or two cannabis operators or whatever that outcome is, or none, but whatever the outcome is, if it was allowed, what would some of the issues possibly be? If we put this in front of the entire city, what would people tell us? Oh, tourism. That I didn't think of. I will say that during the cannabis tours, we were impressed. There is quite a bit of foot traffic that goes through those places. Crime, yeah. Huh? Yeah. Thoughtful ordinance may prevent some of that. That's actually the next slide, but anyway, we'll get there. Poorly run business. Yeah. Business not paying taxes. Appropriate location, not near school. More traffic. So we got traffic up there several times. We've got a bad operator. Poorly run business or non-compliant, not providing taxes. Oh, we're still going. Yeah, this, I'll forget the next slide. All right. Everybody wrap those up. All right. All right, what are the actions we can take? So we heard traffic, bad actor, location was one. There's actually two. What are the things that you could think of that could be done to minimize those, if at all? Pre-qualifications. Yeah, away from schools. I will say that the state law still has a buffering requirement for medicinal. We didn't really go into retail, adult, or recreational, or medicinal, but that would be maybe the last slide. We can discuss that one a little bit. That one still carries the older buffering requirement, which is 600 feet from schools or rec centers, things where kids are. The newer recreational provisions do not have those bufferings. It's more or less up to the city. Yeah, it's that one. Standalone building with parking, security plans, good. Open house and education, interesting. Open retail locations, not hidden in industrial areas. Not treating the industry negative, okay, right. Site visits. So I would assume that would be like a law enforcement presence type site visit. Or city staff. We got 16 on. Proper site. Out of towners, non-congested area. Anything else? Limited amount of operators, yeah. I'm gonna get this thing out. All right, the big question. Should we going to council and saying the majority of people are in favor, majority of people are against? This is what we're gathering. We're gathering this to our online portal too. Try to figure out what the feeling is on retail cannabis businesses. And decided that. Remember, it's anonymous. We can't track you back, so put whatever you want to up there. Can you keep that window so it's not, oh, it's the door, isn't it? Oh, no, I guess it's just the door, sorry. Plenty of chairs open, you wanna, would not be blind. Or sunburned, one or the other. All right, talking about delivery. So there's a bunch of different license types out there. We haven't really discussed grows because we're kind of easing into this and trying to see what permitting looks like, what, you know, this operation actually looks like. There's laboratories. Those are generally, you know, grows and laboratories are generally in industrial areas. We don't have a lot of industrial land, so that kind of rules them out anyways. you have delivery, you have, what's the other one? Distribution, which is just warehousing and moving things around. There's even cannabis events. So we're not talking about any of those licenses. We're just talking about the one right now, which would be retail cannabis and with a delivery aspect. If that's what people think. Now, we know that delivery is happening into our community. And at that point, you know, we don't get the benefit of the tax revenue from the person that's actually consuming it. If we have or if we have delivery here on our own, then that may, depending on market, you know, whatever the value is, could transition that more towards us. Are we good? Billy?
Yeah, good question. Is there any way to track how much has been delivered to Auburn? Like, how much tax revenue does Sacramento County get just from Auburn or Nevada County, I suppose, if they're delivering space?
So the question is, how much tax revenue are we possibly losing by having the Sacramento delivery businesses come up here? And I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, just wondering if they track.
I only recently learned that they're obligated still to give us the state tax percentage because they're dealing within our boundaries.
Just sales tax.
Just the sales tax,
Or
the 1%.
tax. Charging, okay.
All right, so. Oh yeah, so we're looking at areas and trying to figure out, so should this be allowed, where would be the most ideal? Where would people feel comfortable with it? Where do people want to see something like that? You know, somebody had mentioned it's kind of a tourist draw. So does that mean you want to put it into one of our tourist hubs? Is it something that, you know, you want to see buffered from other places? So we kind of went through, we took a buffer list and looked at, even way I took the medicinal buffer that's still out there at 600 feet. We kind of put that around and tried to figure out where those areas were in case people wanted to do medicinal. It did rule out some of the areas, but we kind of put them into those near buffer zones. So the first one we came up with, which was completely out. So again, this is Auburn Toyota right up here, and which is in the city. So this is basically the city boundary, and then up on Nevada Street. So Regal Cinemas, that area. Not a lot of open space or you know, open office space or anything that could house it, but there's land up there if somebody's going to do something with it. Farther down, so Crooked Lane Brewing, this area, there's an X here because the council already had a discussion on it and said that it's too close to school. EV Cane's over here, even though it was buffered by the highway and out of sight, that area was ruled to be not something they were interested in. And this is, these are the things that were presented. I want to hear other people's ideas. So if you know, you've had some other great ideas outside the box here, this is just, I'm showing you what we've kind of come up with. Last was the name High Street, but the last is the High Street area here. Again, looking at buffering, you have the Boys and Girls Club over here. You do have Upper Lincoln Way, which is a tourist hub, and whether or not you want to see that type of thing near one of your major commercial districts is kind of up to you. But minimizing, you know, the impact over here and looking at areas that maybe have openings that are available and that are at adequate distance that it wouldn't interfere with that or be direct sight of.
Is there any reason why we're not, the state's treating this like alcohol, is there any reason why we're not treating it just like we would the bars?
We have the discretion going through this of, you know, time, place and manner.
Right.
This is something that when legalized, we opted out of.
Right.
And the rest of the county did too. And the county has not come back in. Most of the cities in the county have not come back in. So really trying to be conscientious about how we do this. But again, this is what staff put together, so it's not perfect. If there's other ideas, and that seems to be an overwhelming kind of consensus, we'll look at those things closer. So that leads you to the next question. Now, the online, I couldn't provide a lot of details, so all it says is the Highway 49 corridor, downtown, Old Town, or there's an other feature where you could put in the possibility of some other location.
There's nothing like Bristol Road, I said,
Russell Road exit, so if you remember the map from Russell down, that's all residential pretty much until you get, you know, farther down Lincoln over by Team Track, which is mostly industrial. High Street, yeah. Not in downtown, downtown. Highway 49 corridor.
Is there any regulation of it being in proximity to a bar?
Not that I'm aware of, just can't be in the same building or same. Down on High Street. Let me ask, just as a conversation. I don't know who put this in, and you may not want to rat yourself out, it's up to you, it's fine, or this one, a Highway 49 corridor, where would you see Highway 49? What, if you're looking up there and you thought, boy, that location would really be something, I mean, for this type of use. Where do you see that going?
I thought the perfect plot would have been where Ace Hardware is, because their address is.
420, Grass Valley Highway. I know. Yeah, actually, that when I first started getting calls on it, I was like, oh, here they come, but yeah. No, and I only bring that up because, you know, despite what people think, there is limited supply of available properties, and not to say that somebody couldn't negotiate something with an existing landowner. I'm just curious because we do have, you know, the EV Keen is on one side and trying to be sensitive to that and trying to figure out where that would actually go. There's also the Save Mart Shopping Center. That was technically buffered out. I did not offer that as a suggestion. I'm not saying it's not. It's just that it was more visible to families and people going in and out. Also, in a strip mall, one of the things we're going to be requiring to do is contain odors and things like that. So that might be challenging for somebody that tries to do something in that kind of consolidated area. All right, highly visible area, 49, not draw traffic like on 80.
Has there been any demographics about the consumer, local, or like just kind of any kind of feedback on what kind of person that is?
No, we're kind of, you know, feeling our way through it. Away from schools. Okay. Save Mart area, okay, somebody heard.
Yeah.
And
This is State Mart, Dragon, Auburn Ravine, there's some space in there.
Space down below,
But just, I lived in Sacramento, I lived from my bedroom, I could see a dispensary.
right,
They were the best neighbors on the block, right? Walked around, cleaned up. They were aware of, they told like everybody that walked in, like, can't park in this parking lot next door. Yes.
That's where I'm from.
Okay, yeah, I was on G Street, and it was just a I didn't know that he was here, a well-run thing, and like, it brings people spending money at the coffee shop, across the street, like, I don't know, I think downtown's more positive, because rather than keeping it in the dark away from everything, it's like, oh no, here we are, we can't hide, it's all out in the open, you're gonna know our hours, we're gonna be, you know, lit well and have appropriate signage without being over the top.
I'd also like to say, they're less than 80 feet from a school.
Yeah.
Two other schools that are 150 feet and a park less than half a block away, and the security does and has helped the children in the area for emergency purposes and other things. So dispensaries today are much safer than they were, say, 20 years ago.
What about the area where the statues are?
right down below our being area there, possibility. That's why we're having this conversation, just, you know, trying to spitball, get ideas, it's interesting perspective too, because, you know, as it was 10 years ago, you still have those, like, you know, we're trying to think about the negatives of these things, but actually looking at what potentially positive could be and how maybe the impacts aren't as great, we can look at doing something closer to.
Yeah, we also do the yellow brick road down there for children that are walking to and from school to make sure that they're making that safe, because there's been some issues down in that area. That didn't walk.
And Pistol Pete's and formerly the 160, like. There's gonna be problems at Pete's, you know, Friday night.
There sort of always are, so like, we live with bars really comfortably that are open odd hours, and like dispensary that's open during daylight hours. Like the people aren't using on premises, and like, people don't get high and start fighting each other.
Okay. Oh, we're still going, specialized building. That's a big dispensary.
Mhm.
All right, and an expensive one. Twin Dragon, so. Next to Cigarette Store, Save Mart Shopping Center, High Street. All right, everybody done? You need to make, going once, going twice? So I brought this question up on our online survey and I had another, and I unfortunately now I realize that a lot of people I don't think realize how small Auburn actually is, or maybe they're just being funny. But I didn't feel like, you know, when we need 9, 10, 12, that was a bit much. So I kind of went back and looked at what Grass Valley, Nevada City, Colfax, and Placerville are doing. And the Grass Valley kind of has an interesting one. It's based off their growth formula. So right now they are 13,000. So they only have enough for one license, which for every per capita 7,500 people, there's one retail license. And then as they grow, it would open up an opportunity for a second one, but they kind of scaled that to the growth of the community. Nevada City just said, nope, one single license. And, you know, if you want to have a license, you have to come back and talk to us later. Single license in Colfax and Placerville actually allowed up to 3 licenses. And I think they did their selection through a lottery system, like first come, first serve. So the question, sorry, I limited it. You know, if I'm wrong, we can have that conversation. We'll mark it up on the board if somebody wants to have 12 or more than 1 or 2, but just trying to get perspective on, you know,
Already with their limited space.
if it were to go, are people more comfortable with just doing 1 right now and looking at it, or do you want to, you know, open it up to 2 because it is, you know, not as conflicting with the community as some might think.
Dennis,
Oh, wow.
is the county planning to do anything similar?
I have not heard anything.
Okay.
But the county's where you can go get yours in minutes right now, or seconds right now, if you want to. That's interesting. Come on, so
Wow.
somebody's having the tiebreaker. All right, everybody done? All right, additional factors. So in doing this, and we're advising the city council, you are my deputized staff members. What should we be thinking about bringing this forward? And one of the things we didn't talk about that I told you know, we've readdressed is the different types of licenses. So we have the recreational cannabis license, there's also the medicinal. And I think that you guys probably know, Evolution, I think up in Nevada City does both. Do they do both rec and medicinal? Because I think that is an option. Does anybody know if they can do it in the same location? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you can do, you know, both rec and medicinal, but again, medicinal still has those weird, you know, kind of archaic buffer setbacks. But that would be something to consider, is that type of thing something the community wants to see? The difference is rec 21 and over, medicinal, you could get a doctor's note, go to the state, get a state issued ID, and can be younger than 21 to acquire cannabis or cannabis related products. Hours of operation. Allow medical, okay. Think about use, got it. There's also 2 different ways of evaluating. When we're looking at cannabis licenses. So the first one is first come, first serve. If you get through the door, I can imagine the line that'll be out back to City Hall once we open that up. Or the other one is through a kind of an RFP process where we form a committee of community members, evaluate the applications, and then go forward. Those would also be things that be thinking about in this process, additional factors. How would you want selection to go? First come, first serve. You stand at the door, you know,
Sleeping over like at
8 o'clock,
Or
there it is,
coming
you
out.
know. This is from other locations. fair competition, okay. Okay. Process, got it. What about being a community partner? What would you like to see from a dispensary? Not just that they're there. We heard that, you know, some of them help with the school security. I know that some of them have funds set up where they actually donate money on their own to different charitable organizations. Something that you're really passionate about, you thought, wow, maybe they can help this, maybe they can help my station think about becoming involved in the community. Community Development Fund, right? Could be to oversee, okay? Vote on tax structure, okay? That's an interesting one, because there's two ways of doing it. A while ago, and still some of the cities have used it, is actually doing an electoral process to come up with the tax. Doesn't necessarily mean that cannabis isn't allowed, it's still a decision of the council, but to actually apply the excise tax for them, that could be voted on. The other structure is a development agreement, which we're seeing more and more, and that would create a legal binding agreement between, which we'd already have in some form or fashion, between the operator and the city. Interesting thing about development agreements is they're required by state law to be reviewed every year, so you kind of have that mechanism for oversight to go back and review the agreement. If you have a bad operator, if they're not paying their taxes, if they're having issues, that's kind of that nexus to bring them back. And to hold over their head, because there's only so much time. If you'll ask this, okay. How often are the grants offered? So this is the third rotation, and I think it was every 4 years so far. Like the gap between the last one and this one was 4 years. I don't know about the CHP ones. I think those are annual, right? Yeah, those are annual. The big community grants, I believe, are every 4 years, and they're talking about doing another round of them coming up. If you go on the website, there's discussion. Everybody tired of the slide out? Was it all right?
I like it. Yeah, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
I was trying to think of, having staff members with, just peel off sticky things, running around, trying to jot down notes. And I'm like, this seems like an easy way to archive data.
Really good.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's be ready for it. Okay. Lottery. Okay. That's an interesting one. Still going. That's why I haven't pushed the clicker yet. Good. Going once, going twice. All right, so I'm gonna turn it around now. Does anybody have any questions specifically for staff? Is there anything you can think of that you'd like an answer to?
Do you know a timeline on this?
I don't have an exact timeline. We have the next meeting is next Wednesday, so that's the 24th. That'll be online at 6 o'clock. You're probably gonna see something very similar to this. I don't plan on switching it up much. Unless there's something when I'm going through a lot of the comments that we specifically want to address, there may be an expansion there, but generally the same thing. From there, I plan to go back to the city council in October and request report out to them on our outreach efforts with the pollings, the meetings, things that we've heard between now and then ask direction. That direction will be, do you want me to start drafting a cannabis ordinance? And so that'll be at their discretion. I cannot picture what's going to happen beyond that point. And they may decide that we still need more public input. I don't know. So
How did your polling go?
it's still going. So the polling will be open until probably about a week before the October council meeting. So it's out there for people to load. I'm not giving any spoilers because I don't want people to judge one way or another or be led. So
How many responses you've had?
I have 166 as of today.
Are those unique responses or do you think people are?
They unless they have a bunch of different emails and are using different IP addresses, I check that. So the company or the service that we're using only allows one IP address to log in once. So not saying that people can't be clever, But at least there are some protections there. Yeah.
That slide that you had that had the different revenues, was that total revenue or was that tax revenue?
That is total tax revenue projected from the cannabis sales. Now, that's in their budgets, so that's what they're projecting receiving this year, this fiscal year.
So Grass Valley would
Grass Valley.
receive,
That's a line item out of their budget.
okay,
Now, if you know anything about budgeting, usually budget a little conservative because you don't want to over budget or under budget and then, have something happen. So I would say that they're looking probably 10, 20 above that number just to be safe. You want to not anticipate too much.
You expect Auburn's revenue to take revenue from the other cities or just get it worked off?
We discussed that with the dispensaries and actually they do have clients that do come from Auburn. So there is going to be a little bit of a market share that would go on there. One of the things that has been discussed even by the dispensaries, we have 80 right here. So people that are going through would likely stop to if they're heading up to Tahoe or something like that, especially if it's someplace that's easy to access and enjoyable. Also in Sacramento, if you think about it, the other cities that are down there are probably going to Sacramento to do things. You have Roseville, Rockland, and looking at traffic, looking at other things, they may decide to change that. And so we may cut into that $23 million that Sacramento's receiving. But I would say that, some of the other smaller ones there's going to be a share there. There's only so many consumers. It's like you open up another pizza place in a town that's got 5 pizza places and you're pulling away. We don't have any direct immediately next to us except for Colfax, so it's hard to say what that looks like. But we don't know the delivery stats on how many people are actually receiving delivery here. Maybe some of these folks that are actually in the industry have more information on how often they're coming up this way. Pretty often.
Yeah.
So what's your take on it's being implemented, how the city would address any congestion or traffic or
So
after it's already a business?
right. Well, we try to mitigate those things. We have to go through CEQA, which is the California State Environmental Act. So we look at, transportation, depends on the type of use, where it's going and what traffic impacts may be. It depends on if they're doing, construction or not, what those things look like. So we'll be definitely looking at that as part of wherever the location is. It's not a perfect science, you do the best you can with that. And if it's wildly popular, you may have to go back and figure out some ways to deal with some issues. Anybody? Yeah, Bernie.
So one of the things that strikes me as very obvious, and probably to most of us in this room, is that the city is very small. 7 square miles. And if we do not embrace the idea, now you're looking at somebody who has, not partaked in this industry for probably 56 years. But still, if we do not embrace the idea, is it not obvious to most of us that a half a mile away, the county is going to jobble that up? And whatever deficiencies we have in our finances right now, which is very obvious, can be bridged with this effort. I think it's a no-brainer. So in my point of view, if this does not get a warm reception, we're just going to have this activity half mile up the road, and all the revenues that we could potentially see or foresee in the way we do it is going to be gone. Our opportunity is going to go away. The county is on it. They know that we're talking about this. And I just, I really plead to the council and to the community to consider this. It is crazy not to accept that we are where we are now. It's not a negative. You can embrace it if you were in the 60s, that it was a negative, but that's not where we're at, folks.
Had a hand back here.
Yeah, pretty fast. I'm just thinking about our being small too, and the places that were mentioned or proposed, consideration going to the parking. high parking available for retail. That's a bit tight.
Okay.
Then I should have written it down, or maybe something the retailers could approach would be developing parking.
Yeah.
Taking.
Making sure the business best part.
That's where we locate, make sure it's adequate. Okay. Sue?
Just from my experience is, traffic a lot of times around dispensaries are. It's where people go in and out. So it's a quick interchange of, so people aren't just parking there and hanging out. They go in, they do what they need to do, pick up what they want, and then they're gone. So,
Correct. Our average transaction time is about 6 minutes.
It's not a bar.
yeah, it's somewhere where people don't hang out. So as far as traffic goes and as far as parking goes, I think you need to consider that is that. It's very limited amount of time that people
Right,
are.
but some areas that are considering have limited parking already.
Sure.
Mhm.
So
You already
it's
traffic
just-
impact.
Right.
Mhm.
They're
The
just
only
making
thing
sure.
traffic related that I can think of is I keep thinking of In and Out on the weekends during ski season, you know, and all the events that happen along 80, and I've seen the influx to the grocery stores and stuff like that when those types of events are going on. So I would think of like, you know, okay, the parking's great and then it's burning midweek, right? Or then it's hot August nights or something like that, and I mean, I've seen the In and Out line go back up off the freeway, so I'm thinking about just traffic on like influxes of event.
But Elm and High Street is backed up a lot now, just on regular days.
Right.
So I think I probably agree a little bit with you. I'm personally not in favor of it, but realistically, Auburn has to do something and to manage it. And have it the way you want to have it. With the least amount of impact to their community and the infrastructure. Seems reasonable.
Anything else? Promise you I get you out of here in an hour.
Oh, gotta go.
Well, we don't have to go, but I'm just kind of making sure we're pushing it along here so that we're not just saying. No,
I think on the traffic concern, if it's going to be like an In-N-Out burger, you will get your $23 million in tax revenue. It's not going to be like that, but the more traffic or visibility, whether it's just off at 80, whether it's on 49 or High Street, it's pretty close proximity to pick up the clients that would never stop at Auburn maybe, or they're stopping to get gas in In-N-Out burger and whatever they want to buy at the dispensary on their way to Tahoe or on their way back home to the Bay Area. Because the dispensary they go to in the city might be 30 blocks off the freeway in 30 minutes. I think you're gonna pick up a bunch of clientele for the business to pick up a clientele that's not even from our area. Revenue that we would never see.
Yeah. Alright, and if they stop for a sandwich in downtown and, you know, have lunch here, like, that's. That's more business than Auburn, that's not directly related to it, so like, you know, we've got all the. You know, outdoor stuff, from western states and tennis and all the bike stuff, like, that brings people here, but people are here coming from out of town already and spending money. A lot of runners and mountain bikers partying.
Right.
So it kind of aligns with that.
All right, Mayor, do you have anything you want to add or?
I just appreciate everybody's input being here tonight, and thank you, that presentation I thought was valuable, and I liked the interaction. So thank you, and we, all of the city council, Alice, Doug, Camille was here. We all look at what you're saying and listen to you, so thank you very much, appreciate it.
I think that's a wrap, folks. So thank you all for coming out again. We're gonna do this again next, 1 week from now. So if you're interested, or if you know people are interested in participating in the survey, it's really easy to do. It says the average time is 2.5 minutes to take it, so.
Great.
Yes. See you around.
I know, we show in the walking tours.
Oh, I know, and they are like person. Go online and go. Make sure you know. Yeah.
No, school country goes to work, yeah. Great.
Our class.
Yeah.
Yeah, take care.
Oh.
Really interactive, but it's like conversation.
Oh.
That's how everybody.
That's a good point.
No.
Thank you.
Oh.
I'm opposite ends of the spectrum now. Oh, yeah. You know, I moved to that conference, yesterday or the day before, because it was like,
I know.
you know, I just, I haven't. She said, no.
Yes.
So good. So
Especially my. She's planning.
But, Palmerton resident. That's good, nice.
I don't pressure, I'm just trying to do what we want at my job, whatever my job is. What is my job? Yeah. I don't know how I get myself so soft.
All right. See you later.
Saw your time.